Hey there, Jim Mercader here again with Christian Nations Today. The topic today is Khan and Trump versus Smith and Clinton. And the verse is Proverbs 17:15. The Bible says to examine everything carefully in 1 Thessalonians 5:21. So let us carefully examine what the news media has been blasting Donald Trump with, what Muslim Khazar Khan condemned Trump with at the Democratic National Convention. It may have been far wiser for Trump to not have replied at all to Khan, or if he did, to have at least done it in a far better way. I don't disagree with any of that, but that is not the most important thing really to examine. Rather, we should examine carefully the substance for which Khan actually condemned Trump. In essence, here's what Khan said. He condemned Trump's immigration proposal policy. Trump's proposed policy for immigration was to temporarily not let Muslims from terrorist nations enter the United States until the U.S. immigration vetting process is revised to make sure radical Islam terrorists do not immigrate into the U.S. Khan is a shrewd Muslim attorney using our legal system to sell potential immigrants a way to buy themselves into the United States through a little legal immigration clause called E2 and EB5. Now, at the Democratic National Convention, Khan smoothly trashed personally Trump and his proposed immigration policy. Khan said that even he and his family would never have been able to immigrate to the United States under Trump's immigration policy. And of course, since Khan's son died in the war in Iraq, Khan was cleverly able to pitch his speech in a way that really made Trump seem totally responsible for the death of his son and truly a hard-hearted man, and declared Trump being ignorant to his own U.S. Constitution. However, what Khan insidiously implied was totally false for two reasons. In addition, if Trump would have been president, there are two reasons why his son would have never died in the first place. Number one, when Khan immigrated to the U.S., there was not the Islam ISIS terrorist problem there is today. So no one, including Trump, would have ever considered having any temporary moratorium on Muslim terrorist nations. And number two, Trump's proposed immigration ban on Muslim terrorist nations for new immigrants is only to be temporary until the immigration vetting process is fixed to keep Islam terrorists out of our country. If when Trump would be president, and at that time Khan wanted to immigrate to the U.S., in worst case scenario, Khan would only temporarily be delayed immigrating to the U.S. Number three, however, if a Trump's immigration policy had temporarily been in place and Khan delayed in immigrating to the U.S., his son may be alive today. And number four, furthermore, if Trump had been president, we would not even have had an Iraq war, and his son would be alive today. So who should Khan be bashing? Well, finally, for Khan to have dramatically lifted up the U.S. Constitution and declared to the world, quote, "Mr. Trump, have you ever read the Constitution?" end quote, I would simply reply, Mr. Khan, have you ever read the U.S. Constitution? If you had, you would know the U.S. has no obligation of any kind to let you or anyone else into our country. But now that you're here, welcome to America, where you can publicly lie against our presidential candidates and not have your head cut off, unlike where you came from. And last but not least, Mr. Khan, I hope you read the U.S. Constitution to realize that Mr. Trump had absolutely no responsibility for the death of your son. And by the way, if you're truly not happy about the war in Iraq, I'm sure you'll stop being a political stooge for Hillary Clinton, because she voted for the war in Iraq and Donald Trump had nothing to do with it. In fact, he said he was against it. Now, I know the above may sound way too strong for some, but when anyone so fallaciously manipulates truth for a lie to promote masses to vote for a liar and a murderer, as all pro-abortion persons are, actually pro-murderers, as Hillary Clinton is, what unloving Christian cowards would sit back and say nothing and let our future and our families be ruled under a godless ruler? And let me say to close off here, what Pat Smith said at the Republican National Convention regarding the murder of her son in Benghazi, which, by the way, the national media has trashed Smith for what she said, is no comparison to what Kahn said. Because Smith declared Hillary Clinton is personally responsible for the death of my son, end quote. Yes, Hillary Clinton was personally responsible. Hillary was Secretary of State at that time and directly responsible for the safety of the men at the American consulate. Furthermore, before our ambassador and the other men were murdered, including Pat Smith's son in Benghazi, our ambassador requested not once, not twice, but over 600 times, yeah, you heard me right, over 600 times, for help to protect them. Hillary Clinton did absolutely nothing. And then Hillary Clinton even lied to Pat Smith directly, telling her the cause of her son's death was some video. Yes, Hillary is clearly responsible for the death of Pat Smith's son. Christians, is this not worthy of speaking up about and refuting the dishonest media to do all you can to help keep a liar and a murderer from ruling over you and your family? Remember Proverbs 17:15, and I quote, "Acquitting the guilty and condemning the innocent, both are detestable to the Lord." See you tomorrow.